In the desire to make the lower-level freestyles more interesting, some competitors are trying to be creative in a way that unfortunately is confusing to the judge and not advisable. Here are some suggestions for the do-it-yourselfers. Keep your freestyle on the short side. There is a maximum time limit of 5 minutes, but there's no minimum time. Repeating compulsory movements is not necessary and makes the judge and scribe work extra hard. Make the choreography and patterns easy to follow. As long as it is not an exact pattern from a current test, it will not be considered test-like. It is difficult to be overly creative at some levels. Include the required movements in a logical way and don't make it challenging for the judge to follow your intentions easily. Strive to make all patterns in the choreography and movements clear to the judge sitting at C. Ensure that a judge at B or E could also easily interpret and understand your choreography. Oftentimes, our highest scoring freestyles have fairly straightforward patterns and choreography, but the horse performs them very well. So you just have to make sure everything you do is within your horse's capability, especially under pressure and when the music might be louder than the horse is used to, or in a more electric environment. So keep that in mind when thinking about what your horse can clearly accomplish. Here are some common mistakes that we as judges see. The number one issue that we oftentimes see is poor musical choice. The judge does not have to love your music, however, it needs to enhance your horse and present a cohesive program. Oftentimes competitors at many levels miss their ending. They're either ahead of the ending or they're behind the ending, which really impacts your choreography and the impact of your freestyle to the judge. It just looks unfinished. At training level and above at times we see too many circles included, and at first level too many leg yields included. At second level, oftentimes it's difficult to see the lateral exercises clearly. For example, a shoulder in, a travers, or a renvers. If not enough is shown or they're hidden at the far end, it's very hard for the judge to evaluate them, so you want to be sure to include at least 12 meters of any lateral exercise. We recommend 14 to 18, 18 probably being preferable, so that the judge clearly sees what you're doing. If it takes you a little time to get into an exercise, the judge may think you didn't do enough of it. You want to be careful not to include turns on the haunches, because oftentimes they do not enhance. If they're done well and they fit musically, that is fine. We oftentimes at second level see too difficult a pattern in counter-canter. Counter-canter can definitely raise your degree of difficulty both for first and second levels and third. However, it's got to be done well. If the horse struggles, it does not help your degree of difficulty. So you want to be sure that if you've included a pattern, that your horse can do it fairly easily. Oftentimes at third level and sometimes at fourth, there are so many flying changes, the judge is really jumping around to try to get them all scored and then averaged. And it's a little challenging for the scribe as well. In fourth level, you're allowed to show canter pirouettes. However, if the horse struggles with the working pirouettes, including a pirouette, it does not help your degree of difficulty. Creativity is appreciated, but music selection and technical correctness in the required movements is much more important. Clear movements that the judge can see in the choreography are more important than trying to be so creative that the judge cannot really interpret what you're doing. Try not to hide the movements. Obviously, if you have a walk with rhythm issues, that might be the exception there. However, the judge will know what you're doing and will score accordingly. When we're evaluating freestyles, the harmony between the horse and rider is very, very important and needs to be remembered in terms of music selection and interpretation.